So I want to expand on this idea of, because the left didn't read, or just doesn't read what the right thinks and what the right writes about their thoughts, their ideas. There's now and then maybe a celebrity type of public intellectual book, a person who is on Fox or something, that somebody's like, oh, Jonah Goldberg or something. So these are more people who would qualify as really the conservatives. They typically associate themselves with that, rather than they would say that they're a Republican. They'd say, I'm a conservative, or a conservative Republican, because or the party isn't really quite the identifier in the intellectual mind, that it really is that there's some ideology that they really associate themselves with, such as conservatism. Now, what ended up happening that was very, very important, and the left really went out of their way to, and this has been bad. Like, I really want to stress this for people who are left of center. Ducks fighting over a girl, or I think they're two boy ducks fighting. But what it is that there's totally, now they're coupling all the time. I see these like the boyfriend girlfriend pair. If I see them, I'll show you guys. Yeah, so cute. Duckies, gonna make little duckies. Yeah, see, he's coming back. He's like, yeah, I ran him off, babe. Asshole, trying to mess with my girl. All right. Squawk like a man, All right. Enough of that. So, in not looking into, say, you see, I got into this fascination with what I started to see cited by various people who would be in, like, some kind of, thing from mostly libertarians, that they started citing certain names. Go to their blog, I'd be like, and that was the days of the blog, and so I was one of these people who started to find, like, this realm of the right that I'm like, asking people, have you ever seen this before? Because what they were citing often was the writings of the left, and very high-level intellectual writings of the left. They were quite steeped in these writings. They knew them quite well. And then they would even know about the writer and the writer's name and their life and events of their life. They really... It was really pretty fascinating how some of these people were so well informed about people they didn't agree with. And that was a part of it. They had a different thinking about it. They wanted to know why this person was wrong. They wanted to know what made them tick. Legitimately. This eventually transferred into YouTube video format. That all these various people who are right of center. And so something that was very important is much of what was happening was unknown to the Republican Party. And even the Republican Party actually, in fact, was trying to desperately disassociate itself with all of these right of center YouTubers who are millennials. Toward the end of the blogosphere, you start seeing the blogs about the people who are leaving evangelicalism, who are preacher men, that because they're like, no, there's something real fucking funny going on in this community. There's a lot of these people that they have some weird theology going on. And so some of these guys became liberals. There's like a couple of them to this day that are like big time liberal, like evangelical guys or former evangelical guys. But they exposed that there was some weird group, the Dominionist type, kind of little tiny group a little cabal within the Republican Party and the conservative movement that had some tremendous amount of pull on a lot of people in the party who are in leadership and such like. Now we of course have we more closely associate this with the influence of the Bush family and a wide variety of these different people like Boehner and those guys. But what this came down to is that no, there was something funny going on. And it had to do with quite specifically this dependence on sort of the evangelicals. And because there were people also that were like, why are we catering to the fucking evangelicals when there's all these other groups that agree with all these other ideas that are really more libertarian in nature and small government? So that all these various forms of questions, people who are more politically activist in this regard towards small government types, and like, why don't we just stay away from religious issues altogether as a political party and concentrate on real ideas, and that go according to universal principles as mapped out in a lot of our founding documents. Then there became that kind of thing, the people who were really into certain ideas of the founding of the nation, that they were like, no, this was a very important idea, and we no longer do this anymore. This is why the government has just unbelievable amounts of power. We just keep yielding to it. That we're just going along because there's too many people who believe weird, kind of silly shit. And so there was all this kind of reform movement was reforming what was the right, maybe creating something kind of new, looking back at what was old. Nobody really, there was no big plan. People like, say, Richard Spencer and Mike Enoch and them, they were trying to come up with that which could be kind of a plan for it. Even now, Fuentes is still, he's, trust the plan, but I mean, he, kind of wants it to be a thing, like a mass movement. But, because there was then people like me, and then the libertarians always, they always just want to pull the tablecloth. They're the guy who does the tablecloth trick at the party, and it doesn't go right. I mean, it's cool, I learned to kind of enjoy it, but there were people like me who were like, no, you want a mass movement, and here's the problem with a mass movement. No, what you're seeing on the left is a mass movement building up, and they're starting to, this is starting at the level of ideas. And now this is somewhere around the time of Baby It's Cold Outside being one of the worst songs ever, because it implies, horrible drugging and raping of a woman, that there's nothing, because, not so much that they were trying to say something about something, but so what starts to occur is that you got this really kind of interesting situation that starts. The left on YouTube has this really bad time when they get any chance to debate people on the right who are these millennial types, because the millennial types they're young enough that they're willing to say things that are obtuse and shocking, let's say, and they enjoy the reaction. They like knowing that they're saying something obtuse and shocking. They like knowing also that they're saying something that they could cite their sources. And there's some people who are very good at this, who are exceptionally good at this. various writers, such as Milo Yiannopoulos, started jumping into this realm. And the left, basically at a certain point, simply retreated. That's why you end up getting Destiny, Stephen Bonnell, trying to take the reins. I mean, and let's make it clear, like Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks, and was it Sam Cedar in the Majority Report, the guy from Ring of Fire, they proved to everybody, oh no, the left has nothing. These people really believe their own. These people are just talking up their own book. They believe their own press all the time. Okay, got it. And more people like me were like, no. You guys have a point about this God thing. Just wait a moment and see how this goes for them. And it always ended up backfiring. In some way, shape, or form, acting on what is not even just saying, not quite the full truth, but no, this was acting on outright lies, backfired. And now you all are seeing it in the polling numbers, that you are lying over and over and over and over again. And it just took time for people to finally start getting this understanding of the right wing tends to be accurate. They're relying on the conservative standard of the concept of accuracy and truth. It started to be just become far too obvious that this was not what was happening with you all. In no way, shape, or form were thinking of this in the same way. You were thinking of something that you guys believe in called your truth. People have their own truth. And that was it. At a certain point, once somebody no longer believes in that social construct of your truth, no, that's a social construct. That's what you guys rely on. Once somebody realizes that doesn't get them anything, and they're like, oh no, I'm actually fooling myself. The universe doesn't really work that way. There's the truth. And not a personal truth. Oh, that's no fun. And and especially as you age, this becomes something that you can't get around. So the millennials ended up learning. They started to learn after, so riots are bad, because by the end of it, everything's really shitty and no one trusts each other anymore. Oh, well, now and now they know. Now they have that wisdom, But somebody like me, I'm like, no. The left, because of Eric Hoffer and True Believer, Thoughts on the Nature of Mass Movements, I knew. Like, no, the left is becoming a mass movement, and there's certain stages they have to go through. And now the left, because it's in its dynamic phase of violence, one of the things it's going to keep doing is shedding people. It's going to keep shedding people. It's going to keep killing people off who won't adhere to movement purity. And there's no way around this. It's become a mass movement. The right never effectively became a mass movement. That's why Richard Spencer and all these kind of far more, the people who did like kind of playing around with this idea, I gotta show that, wow, yeah, you gotta see that. Look at that. That's where it's at, baby. Look at that, that's beautiful. All right. So, people who were actually into sort of weird forms of hard right government, guys in weird uniforms and shit. Fuentes likes flirting with this to this day. It will never happen. Unfortunately, the manly men of the United States, they are people who are adapted to freedom, and so there won't be a movement of hard right guys wearing Dolce and Gabbana, Kanye West uniforms, filling the rail cars and U-Haul trucks with the degenerates. That's not going to happen. But see, it would be America, as the right would in any way gain a lot of power, things would end up reverting back to states. So that you would see actually states become more separate in their fundamental kind of cultural matrix. More people would move around to states that they wanted to be in. So there will be like the blue states. They will exist. And remember, this is something that the left has. You guys want this. You guys had the mass movement that slowly, all these people called conservatives were like, all these goddamn reactionaries, these racists and these frog guys, and they hated us. They hated what was happening in this thing that came out of the libertarian movement. They were really, really pissed about it because they really like war. That's the key thing. These guys, a lot of these people, they can't survive on if they're reporting, bounty for some reason. They don't conceive of it. There's something about the glory of warfare that a whole bunch of people are way too into nowadays. Who are intellectuals and writers. So the MAGA right, these people who kind of also have an association with the alternative right. These are mostly people that they want freedom and liberty and prosperity, and they're very anti-war. They know that the federal government is a key part of that not happening. That right now it's not a bunch of people who want the federal government to do as little as possible just to kind of help the states when needed and have their few powers, exercise their few powers. That this is really now a kind of a body of people that they're like, no, without us, the entire union would collapse in moments, without Washington, D.C., keeping it all bound together, like the center of Indra's net or something weird like that. So, hey. So, Corgi, of course. Awesome. And so, that understanding that, no, the different states they do on their own, like already. Like they're doing that. Most of what they do every day is state by state. They do it on their own. They accomplish it themselves. There's really not this need for ultra management. That's the argument that's pretty much coming from the right. Then there's the, various things having to do with the financial system, and there's a variety of things of, why do we have these departments? Why, none of this is in these things that are not in the Constitution. Why do they exist? A lot of this is asking questions that are just verboten. And they're verboten by Democrats. They're verboten by the pro-EU type thinking people. Europe needs a European Union, or else who knows what they'll do. Who knows what those people will do. Without Brussels telling them what to do, who knows what they might do. They might keep their daughters out of the clutches of Mohammedans. They might tell the people who terrorize them all the time to go fuck themselves and whoop the shit out of them. So yeah, it's and of course I'm talking about the environmentalists. So because the left had no interest in what the right was thinking, there was critical pieces of information that end up like getting missed, like the whole thing of how everyone dismissed cultural Marxism and the knockout game. Just for two examples. Cultural Marxism, of course, this is something you could find the textbook. Eventually people had to admit, no, this exists, but this is theory. Is this It's just this theory that people have about things, and that social justice was not linked to cultural Marxism, and so because the right was already ahead on this, like no, check out what these people who wrote this were really about. They were about having sex with minors, having gay sex with minors. That's what these people were fundamentally always trying to work on, that as an outcome. Now we were ahead of you by like a decade on this. So we knew this was inevitably coming. Was it? Oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot that. Take a sip of coffee. Cultural Marxism, and I can't believe I'm forgetting the other one. It'll hit me at some other point. But that was one of those that we knew that's what you were really about, because we had read your writings. We knew what your thinkers really said. And you guys have, at best, maybe caught up on some Evola, which a lot of people don't read. Like, none of you want to take on Thomas Sowell. None of you want to fucking touch and Thomas Sowell has changed everything. That's changed the whole landscape. Yeah, and that's been an amazing, that's been absolutely amazing to see that. Or there we go. That there's this network of NGOs working to get all kinds of migrants in the United States and get them to vote. Well, now this is openly something that is being admitted to and discovered all the time, and now there's hearings that are even bringing this up, that these organizations exist and that we were totally correct in this, and the people who did the investigations into them, they were completely correct. And it's this more and more, it's always this kind of thing. And so it's become then this heuristic. Well, the left just generally is dishonest. They just have a very liberal sense of morality, a liberal sense of ethics, a liberal sense of truth. It's just, sometimes a little not true is true as well. Maybe sometimes it's the way I think truth is true. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're dealing with a junkie brain, the mind of drug addicts. Yeah, and we also know, and now more and more there's all these industries that also we know you can't write about. We know that your control of mostly most of the press outlets, you all don't really like talking about how now a lot of you don't really like teaching, because now you're getting real attention from the parents on what is my kid learning that's going to be allow them to eat. Now that you might get told on by your students, and that your students might go to their parents about what you're saying, a lot of you are starting to leave the industry. Now that it's becoming clear that there was never really a big desire for liberal typists, that now that industry is drying up, because there was nothing there in the first place. It was just being kind of propped up by Google AdSense, possibly, maybe, could be. Google, YouTube, they've attempted over and over again to try to purge things that the right has brought up, and no, you can't look that up. That is interesting to the right of center as a news piece. They'll try to make sure you can't find it outside of the standard news channels, you know. And, you know, they do everything they can to de-rank and delist things, quite specifically to help the left of center. There's no way around this now. You guys are now having to do these things so openly, and it's so clear to everybody that it's kind of embarrassing. You know, it's kind of humiliating to you guys, or it should be. That I mean, you're like, yeah, we have to break the internet so that you guys can't win. We have to break the voting so you can't win. We have to burn everything down so you can't win. the most fucking dysfunctional girlfriend ever. And now the 4B movement, where this is the absolute logical outcome of the sexual revolution. That eventually women would be like, I don't even want to fucking reproduce. I just want to have a cat and drink and go to work. Like, okay. I love how this is posited as if this is something that, you know, because the men, they want us reproducing and not drinking wine. You know, and they don't want us to have pets or something, you know, who knows what that, you know, but you know, no wine but lots of kids, ew, you know, that's what. And so I'm just kind of enjoying this now. I'm like, wait, so you're owning, so the women who are the pick-me's and the prizes win. Because winning in reality has to do with evolution, and those people will breed. And they're more likely than not religiously and politically conservative. Okay. Well played. You know? Yeah. This is, and the thing is, there's a part of this that I really wanted, there we go. The bow on it. We didn't think that could happen. The 4B movement, and that this idea of, and really a lot of these women on TikTok who are bringing it up were like, sweet? Like, so it's really that kind of thing. Like, we didn't think anybody would be that insane. We really didn't think insanity would carry forth. There was actually kind of a lot of theorizing that what was going to, oh, that's a weird bit of graffiti. There was this weird theorizing that what you were going to see was all these like liberal chicks kind of poison the well all the time and always try to parasite off of mothers and their children by becoming like school teachers and daycare people and stuff, and try to ruin more children's lives and ruin more minds. But what it's looking like is like, no, these women plan to drink themselves into insanity. So it's really odd. Like, we were like, we know there's people who thought, no, they're going to just destroy themselves. But these were the people who are very theological. We're like, yeah, okay, right, you know. And now it's like, oh my gosh, no, they're literally just going to drink themselves to death. Okay, and work themselves to death. Okay, that's a trip, you know. Like, and it's again, winning, I guess, I suppose. All right, well, I'll talk to you guys later.